Hey there. Hey, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm coming back from a really strange set of conflicting accidents here. Daryl's with me. Hey, Daryl. How are you?
Hi, Mark. I'm good. You?
All right. I'm just waiting for people to confirm that we are live. I'm
Can,
just. What's that?
can you hear me okay?
Oh, I hear you fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure, but we'll find out if we are live in just a moment. Um, yeah, okay. Flames of War says, yes, we are live. Good. Thank you very much, guys. That's good to hear from you. And we had a strange issue that came up, but I was able to fix it long distance, which I really like to do rather than have to do it, in person. And the we still have one problem, but you're gonna be here for us to troubleshoot it. You'll be seeing it. So the telescope basically doesn't know where it is in the sky, so we're gonna tell it. But we're gonna actually instruct it to find its position in the sky, and that's what it's going to do. So how you doing, Daryl? What's going on out there in Colorado?
Oh, I'm fine. Not a lot. It snowed last night, overnight.
Oh,
It didn't
eek.
snow that much here, but it snowed more than they originally predicted. They got like nine
Okay.
inches of snow up by Boulder and a couple inches here. Then the sun
Jeez.
came back, as it tends to do here, and melted it all at my place.
Okay.
It was a pretty sunset tonight now, and hopefully a good night for everybody.
Awesome.
How are you doing?
Well, we're going to. I'm fine. We basically had, kind of crappy weather, but hanging in there. Um, so we'll see what happens. It's supposed to get better anyway. But today it was actually almost 60 degrees, which is different. In the winter, typically that's not what we get.
Yeah. Uh, Sounds like you got our weather for a couple of days ago. It tends
Yeah, I
to
think
move
that's
from east to
usually.
west here, and I know you'll sometimes see our weather a few days later.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, I'm just, as you can see, this yellow bar up here. I'm actually doing. I'm trying to let the telescope solve for its position, figure out where it is. It was able to do that successfully earlier, and I'm going to do it again so that we can then input those coordinates. So that's what we're doing. So bear with us. When that bar goes green, it means we will have our solution. Yep, there we go. We got our solution.
Ta-da.
Okay. Yeah, ta-da. Okay, so now what we do is we come over here and we input the coordinates that it just told me, which is 5 hours, 59 minutes, and 6 seconds. And then we go to the next line, and that's the east-west direction I just gave. And then we're going to give it the up and down coordinates, and that is going to be minus 10 and minus 10, 1340. And
Where's
now I
getting
can
those
say,
coordinates?
I'm getting them from the plate solve, and I copied
Oh,
and
okay.
pasted them into, yeah. And then I can say sync, and if all goes well, this 05634 should change to 559. If it doesn't, okay, and it did. Good. So we are now all aligned again, which is wonderful. And the only other thing I
Marianne
have
is
to
here.
do, Marianne, hey, as Marianne was already thinking, does she have to go out to the observatory tonight to work on things? And no, not at all. Not at all. Nice to see you, Marianne. It's about that. Yeah, it's about a half hour late. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But you know what? To be able to troubleshoot it from a distance is really the best thing to do. Hey, things go wrong. You know? So if the James Webb went wrong, well, they'd have to fix that too from a distance, wouldn't they? So, okay, our sensor is at -10. That's good. So now what I can do is I can set up the color balancing for the current state of the moon. That may work. The moon is out there and it's bright. It's waxing gibbous now, almost full. Thank you, Jessica. Mr. Dingo 57, how you doing? My dog is named Dingo, and she's not in here right now, but she looks like a dingo. You know, that's very cool.
Dingo ate my
Very cool
baby.
night in Montana. Actually, the dingo did eat her baby. It was proven years later.
Yeah.
They found baby clothes in a dingo den. You know that, right? Mr. Dingo is in Montana. Nice to see you, Mr. Dingo. Okay, I got one more thing to do here. I'm going to set my speed of the telescope to move at this rate, and I'm going to head it to the west a little bit. Okay, you can see the telescope moving there. All right, and it may not look like it's moving there, but it is. We actually have a very wide field system right now. We actually have a system that is actually 4 full moons across this screen here and 3 full moons tall. All right. And now let's see if I can get this here. And sorry for not saying hi to you, so many of you that are here. Yeah, I was just recovering from this problem. I didn't think we were going to be able to go tonight, and I'm very happy that we can. Very happy that we can. We're a little late, but that's okay. All right, so now I have to bring this down, and I'm going to do that right now. You'll watch the telescope come down. I should actually go a little bit faster. So we'll go, not 0.5, but 1.5 degrees per second. So let's go a little faster now. That's better. I just need something with a little more control. Hold in Montana. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Did you mean cold in Montana? As opposed to old in Montana? Jane Murdoch, how are you? Jane Murdoch has a story to tell. She actually, interesting lady. She's been here at the house. She's a friend of the family. And we had a Mars party once. And she gave us a Mars rock to put out in front of the yard so people would know where to go. And that rock sat here for a number of months. And then it was just a beautiful rock. Had a really cool look to it. And she didn't want to lose it, so we let her put it out here. And I used it as like a little figurehead in the front. Okay. Right now we're at a spot where I want to be. Okay, this is what I call a parking spot. All right, and what I'm going to do now, when the telescope is just sitting there, is I'm going to go to you can see it over here. This is looking into the telescope computer here. I'm heading into the telescope setup here. And then I'm going to go set the final parking. Hey, Michael, thank you. Set the parking position for this telescope. So we'll do it now. Okay, targets, date, time, and we have daylight savings. We don't care at the moment. And UPC offsets, we don't need that. UTC offset. Site we know. Smart mount we know. We're all set with that. But we want to get to I think I might have. Yeah, okay. I have to do something. I skipped. I think I missed the one I had to go into. Do not hit reset. Do not pass go. Okay, this is the one we want to get into next. Telescope. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we know everything about this telescope that we have here. We just have to go down and do one thing. We have to tell it where its final parked position is, because when it loses its place in the sky, it loses its final position too. So this is always a good thing to do. So we have mount upper and lower limits that we set so the telescope can't run into itself. But I found that has issues, so I don't believe it. Okay, park position is here, so we're going to say enter, and it's going to say use current. We're going to use the current, and it's going to say position is done. Okay, all right, set. There we go. So now we're all set. We're ready to go back to the stars. All right, so we'll do that. So Daryl, what do you want to do tonight? What would you like to look at tonight? I have a few things. What do you think? Keep in mind waxing gibbous moon.
Yeah. The moon is going to be up in, I want to say Gemini tonight. Probably want to avoid that area. Otherwise, I'm pretty good to go wherever you like.
All right. So it's going to be up above Orion here. There it is. Up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Castor, Pollux, and Gemini.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Yeah, the Gemini twins, which you can see right here when we put the mythological setup in place and show those images. Monoceros, the unicorn, Monoceros, single horn.
Horn. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, we can add objects too. They're kind of fun to look at.
You can see almost all the winter circle there right now, except for Capella's just out of the top of the field of view.
Yeah, if I lower it, maybe we can.
Capella, Castor, Pollux, Procyon, Sirius, and Rigel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Rigel here. Actually, we can zoom out a little more, and then we'll see it all. There it is. I think we just got it. There's Sirius down the bottom. There's Capella at the top. There's Aldebaran. There's Rigel. Okay. And there's the moon, which is not in the winter circle.
Well,
looks pretty, though.
It's inside the winter circle.
Yeah.
And if you go from Rigel and draw a line to Betelgeuse, you have the heavenly G, or the winter G.
Okay. So that's from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's neat. Well, let's actually test our pointing accuracy. We're going to select Aldebaran and tell the telescope to go to it. And that will be just something to give the telescope a target. And you can see right there, it says high precision slewing. And you can see there the telescope is moving. So the telescope is heading up and should go straight to Aldebaran. So let's go see if it goes. There's Aldebaran. All right. And it should center it up and put it right about here. And then stop. There shouldn't be any issues with it. If it has an issue, then we can fix it. Hey, Carmen. Vera Lucia Campos. Jessica S. And I know we have Daisy and Zoe's here. Marianne, of course. Anahata 77. Bonnie, nice to see you. And of course, Michael Klagus. Very, very kind of you to donate to us. That was very nice. Zadarak is here. And Izabela, Mr. Dingo 57. And PG, naturally. And Donald Kunzer. And let's see. Who else is here? Did I miss anybody? Kalibos. Well, he had to head off to do something else. Unfortunately, he had a loss in his friends that he had to go hang with. So yeah. So I guess we're not gonna have him here with us tonight, but that's okay. But it's nice to see you all. Thank you for coming out. And we got Aldebaran. This is working fine. Let's do a zoom here. up to 100% and set our focus system operational. Let's see. Okay, a little bit out, which is good. So now what I can do is, as the temperature drops, the focus changes with the telescope, as I've mentioned before. So let's see, Daryl. Let's see what the temperature is. It's 60 out there. So that's how much. That's what it was here, Daryl. Today.
I think it's in the 20s here now.
Yes. Well, let's just drop this down a little bit and see if I can start the process. I might have to go the other way. Once we get the focus, we'll be able to start cranking. And if you're wondering why it's taking so long, folks, it's because it's a 1-second exposure that we're using right now. All right, this is the correct direction to go. So, as you can see, we've got tens of thousands of focal positions to set. I mean, it's extremely, extremely precise. So we can actually set this by 1 or by 10 or 100 at a time. And this actually looks reasonably good. So what I'm going to do is go into my temperature tab, and I previously set, this is called a coefficient down here. This is a way, it's how many counts or numbers that you saw there in red change per degree. So I'm setting it now to turn on the system so it'll follow and focus during the course of the evening. Right? It might even be different when we come back. So it says 48,212, and now it says 213. So it's just going up and down a little bit. Yeah, we can't use a Batten-off mask. Although, that may not necessarily be true, Daryl, because what I could do is put it all the way on the outside of the dew shield up top there. I'm not sure if that'll work, though. Probably not, unless I actually make a 2-part Batten-off that comes down over the corrector plate and then opens up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Then you'd have to remove it again after you focus.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If I had a little servo motor, okay, like I did for the cap that comes off and on, then it could open and then go down. I tried a Batten-off mask, and I didn't actually... I found that I could actually focus better by eye than the Batten-off mask could do, and maybe... I don't know why. That's all right, Michael. It's definitely a hyperstar, so that's a problem. Okay, I think officially we are a go. You know what might be fun? It might be fun to see if we can see Messier 35 with the glare of the full moon, or waxing gibbous moon. Let's try it. I know. Let's give it a shot. Well. Okay, so the way the telescope works, for those that don't know... Oh, there it is. No, that ain't it. The way the telescope works, for those that don't know, is it finds a bright star, centers on it, and in this case it's Propus. And then after it centers that star, it knows exactly how much to go in order to get to the other object. It's called star hopping. And we used to do that when we were kids with our telescopes. Because didn't all kids have telescopes? So from there, you can see it's a very bright sky right now. But we're using special filters, so it's not as bright as it could be. And so we should come close here. It's a test, because the bright moon can fool our system. So I'm trying to see if that's going to happen. And it looks like maybe it has been. I can tell if we go to this. Let's go to our... It's very close. But let's see how far off it is. Yeah, see? It's off a little bit. And basically I have to go to the west, which is that direction there. So if I go to the west, we should see a cluster move in. But you got to be careful because there it is. Yep. I'm going to set the speed to go to just 16 times guiding speed, which is actually, that was the wrong one. That's 0.25 degree per second. I want to do 16 times guiding speed. Okay, here we go. So now we go to the west a little bit. Yeah, and there we go. Now we'll try to take an exposure test. Now when you take pictures, for those of you that haven't been here before, and some of you haven't, I could tell, then we actually, as soon as you take a picture, they get uploaded right away to a server, and those are made available free to you in high res. You know, like 4 times bigger than the screen you see here, maybe even bigger, depending on your resolution. All right. All right, and what we do is we stack too.
Can you sync on it?
Yeah, I can actually I can bring up the crosshair system and let's see how accurate it is. Okay, so we'll get that in the middle. One more little nudge. Okay. Okay, we're at 6 hours, 7 minutes, 52 seconds, and 24 degrees, 6 minutes, 10 seconds. So if we go to our planetarium program, the shoe buckle cluster is also called Messier 35. 6 hours, 8 minutes, and 54 seconds, and 24 degrees, 19 minutes, 58. So we're kind of in the right neighborhood, don't you think?
I think so. The moon is actually full on February 16th at 11:56 a.m. Eastern Time.
Right.
So there.
Yep. Okay, here we go. All right. So let's actually take a picture and see what we get. We'll take a 6-second picture, and then we'll stack it. And we're gonna get out of our hyper mode here. This view here, when I have this thing set, when it's like this, okay, and you see all these stars like that, that's a hyper mode, and it is too bright for what we want to do. So I basically will bring us into a stack, and there is what we see. So that's a 6-second shot, and the color rendering isn't correct yet. I have to do these corrections. Hello, Corey Williams. Scout, how you doing? Scout S. Scout wants to know if we can look at Andromeda. We can check it out. It might be a little past our capability right now, but it might not be. It's just a little bit less than the full moon, yes. Alright, so let's do a color correction. There's a color correction. And then let's see if we can actually make it look a little better. Okay. Now, when I do this, you can actually see there is a red glow here. That red glow is not actual glow. That's not a nebula or anything like that. That is a glow from the camera. It's not normally there. It's there only because there's a big bright full moon right now out there. And we're really pushing the system, because we're actually very close to the moon, and that's part of the problem right now. So, alright, let me see if we can... But there is something interesting, right? And we've talked about this before, Daryl. When you look at the... I'll just brighten it up just a bit. When we look at the cluster, this is Messier 35, okay? There's another one right here.
Yep.
Okay. And what's that one? That was NGC... Do you remember, Daryl?
Not offhand, no.
All right, let's go check it out. It's a cluster that is also in this area. It's actually NGC 2158. Okay, you can see it here. Okay, so this in our system here, in our planetarium system, you can see Messier 35, and then there's another one right here, very faint. It's called NGC 2158. NGC 2158 is a cluster that's actually a lot further away. And because it's further away, it looks redder than this cluster here, which is a lot closer. You know, we look at Messier 35, and we're talking about a cluster that's actually 2,700 light years from us. This one's a lot further, and I'd have to go in and find out the exact distance. I can calculate it from the redshift, but I don't want to do that because it takes some time to do that. But it's a reddened cluster. It's reddened, and you can see that the stars, when we look at it, are kind of like yellowy. Well, they're not. They're young. They're hot. They're blue or they're white. Okay? But when they look this way, it's because we're looking at it through intergalactic dust, interstellar dust. All right? So that's a pretty cool finding here. We have a young, hot cluster closer to us and a cluster that's farther from us. That's neat. And right now we've actually stacked, let's find out how many we stacked here. We stacked 32 in there already. Wow. Wowee. That's pretty cool. Unbelievable. All right, well, we can stop this. And I'll save it. Why not? Okay, and you saw it saved up there. That quick green line with the blue text shows it's saving it. And we're going to save it exactly as we see it here as well. We saved the stack. We saved the sandwich of images that we captured. We had 32 images. Well, they're stacked. Well, 35 now, and they're stacked on top of each other and aligned and stacked. So that gets rid of a lot of the noise. And you'll notice the moon glow isn't increased. And that's because the moon glow is actually part of the noise. It doesn't mean the sky is going to get blacker as time goes on. It just means that we can get rid of the noise from the moon in parts. All right, that's cool. So we can clear this, get out of this.
It's odd that it would have a red tinge to it, though.
Yeah, the red tint has to do with how close we are to the moon, and what it was actually doing a really severe stretch, and the severe stretch was actually causing it to look that way. But when we go to do a look at other things, it shouldn't look that way. It'll be a constant color. Let's go back to our planetarium and let's zoom out of this a little bit. Actually, we're gonna do that. I don't want to do that. Here we go. All right. Hey, you know what we should do since we're here? Well, it'll be hard to see. I was gonna say the monkey head because but it's gonna be too brightly overwhelmed because we're too close to the moon right now. But we can go check something else out. So, you know what? This is a favorite. I was actually looking for it today because I wanted to use it as for the Facebook post. I wanted to actually use it. It's the 37 cluster. The 37 cluster is actually really interesting. So check it out, guys. Here we go. We're going to go to the 37 cluster. You can watch, telescope's going to say it's going to go there looking, and the telescope's going to move. You watch it up there. Okay. Oh, but I also have to make sure that I get our time down to 1 second here. From 6. There we go. And now I can give us our hybrid view, which is right here. And we're centering on Betelgeuse, which is the brightest star, so to speak, in the constellation Orion.
You know, well, it's Alpha Orionis, whatever, but actually Rigel is usually brighter than Betelgeuse.
Yeah. Betelgeuse is a supergiant star, as Daryl and I know, and you probably know, some of you. And it is a pulsating variable. It will change brightness, regularly. It did have a dimming episode that was really spectacular in the last year. Last year, right?
Yeah.
And you could look up at Orion and not see Betelgeuse as anything more than one of the stars that are sort of dim around it. It was really odd to see that. What's even more odd is to see a cluster like this. That looks like the number 37, doesn't it? And that's why it's called the 37 cluster. I mean, look. There's a 3 and a 7 right there. Can't miss it. 37. I think that's pretty cool. The 37 cluster. Right there. Hey, let's go back down. I actually thought that I had captured the 37 cluster and as an official object with SkyTour, and you know what? I've taken a lot of pictures like this of it, but I actually haven't captured it, Daryl. I think I'm going to have to just capture it tonight, just as an official 37 cluster capture.
You never imaged it before?
I imaged it, but I didn't keep the images, or I figured, it's just a cluster. But that's silly. I think I'm going to actually image it tonight. Actually, let me, let's just do this. Let's zoom in on it. Go to 100% here. So you can see. Look at the 37. 3. I mean, even that's a 3 just like we usually make a 3, right? Like that weird thing. And then here's the 7. Right? Obviously, it's not a 37. It's actually a coincidence of placement. But it does look kind of interesting, doesn't it? And the focus looks pretty good.
I still remember the first time I ever saw that.
Do you? Where'd you see it?
It was a club star party, and somebody pulled it up in their scope and showed it to me. Thought it was pretty cool. They laughed, wow. I laughed.
Uberku, how you doing? Yeah, and Uberku says, sure enough, 37. That's right. Yeah, SkyTour livestream. We like to show you some really cool things. We'll do 15 seconds on this cluster, and we'll get out of the hybrid mode here. This is another. It's called histogram, and that yellow line intersects the data. If I move the yellow line over, okay, we see more data. Okay, and it gets brighter. All right, but I can quickly do this right here, to actually really maximize it and show a lot, okay, or get out of it entirely. So what I'm going to do now is go into the stack, make a stack, and now in our live stack, we have a few seconds left, that's 1 second, and then we're going to see the 37 appear, and there it is. All right, so there's our 37, and of course, even with our filters, the moon can still overwhelm us because it's bright. Okay, we're getting a lot of stray light from the moon. But we have imaged, with the full moon, we have imaged nebulae really effectively, even so. But it's kind of cool. It's really pretty. And I have fun doing it. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get this a little adjusted here. And let's do a color balance to blacken up the sky. Remember what I told you, Daryl, that the red glow would go away?
Yeah.
See, so now we actually see a little bit more. We are pushing it, though. Okay. Oh, Izabela, thank you so much. That is the folder that she put up there. That is actually the drive, the server that we created for all of you. That's a public server. You can go there any time of the day or night, 24/7. and find all the images we take in SkyTour Livestream. And one of the things that I discovered is I need to I can label this and say the 37 cluster up there at the top. All right. And doing that now, I can now take that, and that will be appended to the file name when we actually save the stack. So it'll automatically name the directories for us now. Should have done that before. I didn't know about that before.
Izabela asks, says there's one cluster nearby called the Intergalactic Wanderer. Is it interesting?
Yeah. We can try and check it out. I think it's like a globular cluster. You know, but we can look at it. Certainly. And she's right, there is one called the Intergalactic Wanderer, and I think we should look at it, don't you think?
Sure.
Okay. Alright, we're stacking now. And we've stacked 10 frames so far. That's good for this. So we'll pause this. We're going to save our stack. You'll see the little green bar up there. Okay, that's a FITS file, astronomical file format. But you can get free viewers for FITS, F-I-T-S format. But if you don't want those, if you don't want to mess with that, then you can also, in those same directories, you can get the image that you see exactly like this here. All right, and that's a ping file, PNG right there. All right, and it's going to be the 37 cluster in the 37 cluster directory, and it'll be there by that name here. Izabela likes globular clusters. That's very cool. Okay, so let's go see if we can go to the Intergalactic Wanderer. Here it is. It says it's an open star cluster, but okay. Let's go there. It's not too far away from where we are, but the telescope... Okay, I gotta kill the stack if I gotta do that, but that's alright. We'll do that now, like this. And go to 1 second. There we go. Alright, and go to our hybrid mode. Okay. I don't know why it's called the Intergalactic Wanderer, to be perfectly honest.
Does your stellarium give a clue?
I'll go look again, but I don't think so. But it's right there. All right. I've seen it before, but tell you what. Let's just look at stellarium for a moment. Let's shut off the name. Intergalactic Wanderer is where we are. Okay, this is the size of our field right here. And let's see what... Okay, the Intergalactic Wanderer is just a little bit left of center. Let's actually bring up our grid and drop the telescope down a little bit and center it up. And then let's shift it west a little bit. No, east, I mean.
The other west.
The other west. Yeah. So have you ever seen this before, Daryl? Except in SkyTour? I mean, we probably looked at it once in the past, I think.
No. Not that I recall.
Okay. I have to find out more details on this.
Yeah, If it was in the field with the 37 cluster, I may have seen it in the background. I have no memory of it though.
Yeah, it's actually out of the field by I think a pretty good margin.
Hmm.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the center roughly for this. All right. And let's go now to Stellarium and see what it says for the Intergalactic Wanderer.
It's an NGC object, 2194.
Yeah. It might be
Open
pretty
star
far
cluster.
away. Yep. Might be really far away and thus considered an interloper, but I don't think so. It's really pretty. Tell you what, let's go back here and let's actually
Or more
stack
than
it.
100 stars.
Yeah. Yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
didn't
here's what
see
we're
a
gonna do.
distance.
Yeah, I didn't either. We're going to say 15 seconds on this, and we're going to drop our hyper shot and go in here, clear this, and once the sensor gets read out with the new image, we're going to see it in 1 second. Here it comes. Boom, there's the Intergalactic Wanderer right there. What a pretty cluster. Look at that.
Very red star.
We're a nebula and a satellite. That looks like a nebula, doesn't it?
Maybe.
Huh. Let's go back in here and see. Do we have a nebula down here? Interesting. Is this the star we're talking about? No. This star is here. That's Kappa Orion. Interesting. I don't know. That's. Oh, you know what? I know why. Okay. I'm gonna come in here for a second, and I'm gonna just get some of our other catalogs online with us. We don't have all the catalogs in place. It's probably gonna be an LBN. That's my guess. But let's find out. Okay. We have LBN. Nope. It's not showing. It's going to be in the catalogs, but we just don't see it. It's definitely a nebula. Look at it. There's got to be. Maybe it's a. I don't think it's Sharpless catalogs. Okay, I see we're just a little out of focus here. We could do a little better on the focus. So let's go down here. Check out that star. Oh yeah, that's an H2 region. Look at that.
Like a star is a foreground object, or is it inside the H2?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check it out and see.
Looks like there's a little bit of a dark patch to the lower right of it, in it.
Yeah, I see that, yeah. Let's darken this up a bit. Take us to a little darker. Take us to the dark side. Alright. Oh, Izabela, I would love to say we discovered a nebula, but I don't think so. I think that this is one that's known, but not known to us. Streaming. Okay. We can find out, because I'm sure that if I come back in here and activate more catalogs, then we'll see. Maybe it's a Vandenberg object. A Melamed object, maybe? Won't be an ARP object. That's the Planetary Nebula catalog, Supernova catalog. Might be an Able object. Well, let's see. Let's see if it's any one of those. Ah, yes, it's a Sharpless. Look it. There it is.
They show two objects.
Yeah. Okay, so at least we know now. We have access to catalogs that show it. I'm going to guess that we're looking at this one. Sharpless 272. H2 region. This is moderate brightness. See, Izabela, somebody knows. Oh no. Astronomy.net is down. Michael Klager says he can't do any plate solving. You know what I did, Michael? I had to avoid that. So what I did was, because you saw us plate solve before, to get our position, I installed the databases on the computer. That makes a huge difference. You know, and just install them, and then you can run them locally. Daisy's away. I can't get the song Happy Wanderer out of my head. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Uber Crew. And we do that a lot because we want to really see what's going on, you know. But thank you for noticing. Yeah, download the data. Yeah, see, Daryl, that's that H2 region.
Yeah. I don't see
Well,
the
I don't
second
mind taking-
H2 region.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I mean,
I
there's
saw the two
indicators.
bright stars on the left in Stellarium, and I think I saw that double star a little below center. Can you go back to
Yes, right here.
Stellarium for just a second?
Yeah, sure. Okay, there's the two bright stars, right? Oh, wait.
No.
Let me make sure I was... Yes. Here's the two bright stars.
Yes, and there's the double star
Right
to
here.
their lower. Those two are
Or
the
this.
double star. Yes, that's a double star.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's one to its upper one to its upper right of the double, and then one more to the right, slightly upper right. Go back to the image
so let's
now.
go look at... I'm going to go back to the image, and... So here's the double. Right here. And we should have one... Is it here, or is it here now? Is that the one to the right, or the one...
I think that's the one that's
stars.
more to the right. It's slightly up,
so?
but mostly right.
Well, let's go back. Yeah, it's actually more up. So it's that one. That's the one that we're seeing in the image right here. So it is SH2 272. Okay. This one here is actually not given. It's not given as as the brightest one. This one here is stated as being moderately bright. So that's the one then. That's very cool. Hey, David Schmidt. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, okay, that's good. So let me zoom out of this. We're still stacking this here. All right. Oh, let me come in here for a second and get rid of this. All right. Okay. And we've stacked 30, so we're going to pause it right now. And let's actually see the Intergalactic Wanderer that we're doing here. We're focusing on everything else. Well, there it is. That's the Intergalactic Wanderer. It's a cluster of young stars. Maybe they could be older, actually. I'm not sure. That might have evolved. So, that's pretty. That's a nice little cluster.
It is.
Maybe we can give it just, yeah, let's give it one more little tweak into the dark. A little more. Let's try that. Really enhances the color when you do that. All right.
Izabela, are you using the online version of Stellarium, or do you have it downloaded to your computer? She's wondering why your Stellarium has more stars than hers.
Oh, well, okay, Isabella. What I've done is I've downloaded additional star catalogs in the Stellarium. So what you do, let me see if I can show you that. First of all, let me save this. This is Intergalactic Wanderer. So we're going to save the stack of 30. It's been saved. And then we're going to save it exactly as seen.
Yeah, I just have the online version, and it doesn't show nearly as much as yours does.
Yeah, I downloaded tons of additional catalogs down to like magnitude 17. Let's see if I can show you where I do that. Is it in here? No. Is it in here? No. Might be back in here. It's not under surveys. Okay. I can tell you where it is. Just a sec. Okay, so what we do is over here we go to configuration. Oh, it's F2. Okay. And then plugins. I think it's plugins. Is it plugins? No. I'll find it. Just a minute. I did it like a couple years ago. That's why it's trying to remember. Tools. Time, no extras, maybe. Okay, star catalogs. Under extras, I've installed every single catalog that's available. So the faintest stars I see are like magnitude 16 or more. So it's in the configuration, the wrench, okay, under extras. And then this won't say what it says here. It'll say download catalog to certain depth, then more and more and more. But be careful. They slow down your machine tremendously. This machine out here is a very high-end machine. It's all solid-state drives, right? So you got to be careful. So this star right here is pretty dim. That's only magnitude 11, and we can still get much deeper than that. Okay. So if I go in, you can see these little faint stars in here, right? And that's a magnitude 15 star, and that's brighter than this faint star right here. This is a magnitude what? That's 16.3. Okay, so you can see that we got some really, really faint stars in here. So right now, the faintest star I can see is like this one right here. 17.8. Okay, that's faint. That's faint. So, you have to download these extra ones, okay? Flames, what up? How you doing? Alright. David is asking us a question.
Yeah.
From which observatory were the photos actually taken? Which photos, David? Okay, let's go down to this guy. This is a nice little cluster. Another one that's neat. Alright, let's get out of the stack here. I'm going to clear it. You'll look at the telescope is moving over my head here. Okay. Uh-oh. I guess we're a little too low right now. Telescope may not be able to see yet down that low. You may have to wait. Let's see here. Okay. All right, we're actually zoomed in a little bit here. Let's get out of that. Okay. So what's it centering on? Okay, it was centering down there. Oh, it's centered down south. That's why. Okay, and it's going to M47, which is there it is, right there. Messier 47, the really pretty cluster in Canis Major. And it's an open cluster. Really pretty. It's actually two clusters here, correct? I think we have this one and we have that one.
Kind of looks like.
I don't remember which. Yeah, I don't remember which one they are. Let me see which one that is. Okay, we have Messier 47, and we have, was it NGC 2423? I think it's NGC 24.
Yeah.
2423.
You're actually in Puppis now.
Yeah, that's right. It's in Puppis, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we come over here. I can actually do this and put the boundaries in. That's the boundary. It's really close to that. Okay.
Puppis is the poop. The poop deck on the large ship Argo
That's
Navis.
Right.
Yep.
The poop deck.
David, if I catch your drift, the catalogs are star maps, and they're not photographs, they're digital. So the images, when Marc pulls up Stellarium, they're not photographs. They are digital displays.
Yes, David, that's right. I'm sorry I didn't understand that part of the question, but it makes sense now that you asked that. So Daryl's right. These are just computer-generated star maps. But what's confusing about it is that when you zoom in on some of these, you do see photos that are inserted within, like right here, okay? This right here, this is a photo that's inserted in the digital map. So when you pull out, okay, you can see where the stars seem to be. It's like a square. Well, it's not square in the sky. That just happens to be the number of stars there. And that's the photo that's inserted in this digital map. This is the digital map, and there's the photograph. So it's a mix. It's a hybrid. And it makes for a really pretty presentation, but it is a little bit difficult to make heads or tails of sometimes. Okay. So that's
you have another cluster just out
there,
to
right
the
here.
lower left. Okay.
Yeah. That's the one that I actually want to try and get in at the same time as M47. What Daryl's alluding to is a cluster that has a really interesting companion. All right.
46?
And what we're going to do is, yep. And we're going to drop down, and you'll see Messier 46 show up, but you're also going to see something else show up in this cluster. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to show it here. We should. Just to go over a little more. go.
Yeah.
And so now we have both clusters in here. Right, this is on the right. We have Messier 47 where we're just on, and we're going to take a longer shot of this very spot. And then on this side we have a cluster called Messier 46, but we also have that weird object in there. That's the remnant of a dead star called the Planetary Nebula. And those of you who've heard me say this before, these are young, hot clusters of just stars that are only a few million years old. So what's a star doing here that's already dead? The answer lies in the fact that the universe is a 3D puzzle to us. We're seeing it in 3D. So that just happens to be a star along the line of sight that happened to die. The cluster is actually a longer way away by double. I think this Planetary Nebula is like 2,000 light years away, and the cluster is like 4,000 light years away. So you'd pass the star long ago, leave behind, and then you get to the cluster eventually. All right. Now what we're going to do is take a picture. We're going to take a nice shot here of these two clusters. And we'll do this M46 with Planetary Nebula. And I think the Planetary Nebula is NGC's at 2486. 21. No, it's not that. It's 2438. Okay. Yep. Okay, that's Planetary Nebula, NGC 2438.
Donald, the double cluster is up sort of on the border between Cassiopeia and Perseus, and this is way down in the south, the constellation Puppis, which is to the left or the lower left of Canis Major, where Sirius is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so this is our composition. I'm just going to drop it one little bit. Okay, one of the things that we have to do also is when we look at our... look at a satellite coming through. I don't think that's a Starlink. I think the trail's too short. In 1 second you would expect it's not higher altitude, it's a lower altitude. But we'll see. Okay, let's take some shots here. And you'll watch that this Planetary Nebula will become clearer. Let's do a 18-second shot here. And we'll get rid of our bright thing here, go to our live stack, clearing as necessary.
That's a pretty crazy looking picture.
I know, right? Picture caught in the middle of all kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, so now let's see what we look like here. Okay, that tells me that we just need to undo the previous crazy stuff we had done. Let's do a color adjustment here. There we go. There goes our satellite out of the shot. That's kind of neat. So we have Messier 47, Messier 46. Not sure what that is up there. That's an NGC, I think. But then we have another cluster right here, which is probably an NGC number. It could be an IC, an index catalog item as well. Yeah.
We zoomed in on the Planetary there in M46 once.
Yes.
And it was actually surprising how much detail we could see, even way zoomed in. It might be a test of your focus again, but...
Well, I have to actually zoom in right now and see if we're actually focused or not. I may have to just tweak the focus. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let's do that. I'll cancel the stack for a moment. Don't worry, we're not going away. All right. And then I'll come back in here. Go back to 1 second shots. Okay. And do this. Actually, I'm not going to do it the full hyper shot. I'm going to actually just do this. And that's going to tell me what I need. By looking at these stars, that actually gives me good information. Okay, so we come in here to our focus. And I'm going to take off our... Yeah, we're at 56 degrees in here now. In the building out there. The building is 2,500 miles from me. It's actually out in the Arizona desert. I'm in northeastern United States. All right. Let's see if I have to increase or decrease. I think I have to decrease. Yeah. A little more. Okay, a little more. A little more. Can't tell if I went too far. Let me go down more and see. Just doing my focus.
It's been getting pretty cold down there at night sometimes, hasn't it?
I got down to 42 one night.
I thought you were below freezing down there a night or two.
Maybe not when I was open. I've been out in that building when it was cold. And of course that might be because I was wearing shorts. I actually was taking pictures of Orion in shorts and a t-shirt. It's just unheard of. You know? Okay. Okay, we are back to focus. This is, when we come out of this and get the pictures now, it's going to look stunning when we take this picture. You can already see how much better that picture is going to look. Okay, let's do 15 seconds. Sorry, 18 seconds again. And come out of our hybrid mode and jump into a stack. And let's get rid of the stack. And look at those stars. You see how they look? You think they look pretty? Well, wait until you see the next set. These stars that you're about to see are going to look even sharper. That's beautiful. Now that is a beautiful image. Everything is clearer. And there's our nebula, as Daryl was telling you before. That's a planetary nebula. You know, when the star dies, it uses up its hydrogen, and then it begins to shrink because it's used up its hydrogen, which is the fusion fuel. And as it shrinks, more of that hydrogen that was in the outer areas that's not fusing goes into the core, which is the only place that fusion occurs. And that makes the star expand again and swell. And now this newfound fuel makes the star swell incredibly large, and it becomes a red giant. Not a red supergiant, but a red giant. Okay? And then as it uses up that hydrogen, the core can be made hot enough to actually maybe burn helium, fuse helium into carbon. Okay? For our star, that's about as much as it'll do. All right, and then the star begins to shrink again, and finally, as it's doing that, it'll pulsate back and forth as it finds new fuel momentarily, and it starts to pulsate. Every time it pulsates, it may shred and shed some of its outer layers. And that's just what we see here. We see this little bubble around the star of shell, of layers, drifting away from the star because it made it to red giant stage, and those outer layers are so far from the center of gravity of the star that they continue to drift away. And that's what we see there. And that's why they're called planetary nebulae, because they look like little planets. They could be mistaken for it.
I think you've talked before that planetary nebulas tend to be about the same size, correct? They're basically
one to. Go ahead.
What we see is how far out the energy from the white dwarf at the center of the nebula is, how far out that energy from the star, the white dwarf, is still strong enough to ionize the gas around it, forming the nebula. Right. They tend to be on the order of the same size, at least. It's like when we see the dumbbell or the ring nebula, stuff like that. And I assume that this one being so small means that it's much farther away. Is my only point.
No, that's a good point, though. That's a very good point. And let's actually see. Let's see what this gives us. NGC 238. It says 3,900 light years for this, but there's another one that's over here. And that one says 4,200 light years away.
Remember the name, Calabash.
Yeah. So that's that one there, and as we look at it, these tend to get to be about 1 to 2 light years in diameter, and because white dwarfs have a certain known property of their energy output at their particular size, most white dwarfs are around the same size, and most importantly around the same mass, and so they can ionize the material that was shed in that outer envelope and make it glow out to a certain distance.
Yeah.
Well, the reason it's hard to know how far away these nebulae are is because we don't know where in that process this nebula is. Is it expanding? Has it already reached its limitation? Has it already reached its outer space and its outer envelope limit, for the ionization limit? Or is it still expanding into it, and the star can expand it out to like a huge amount, maybe? But maybe it's already there when we see it here. And if we can say, well, they're all around 1 light year, if they're all 1 light year in diameter, then we can calculate the distance to every single one of them very easily. But they're not regularly shaped either. This is a rare one, that it's actually got a fairly regular shape. We see others with the blue snowball. We have the cat's eye. And so there's others that look this way, okay? But you can see the white dwarf right there. Now this is almost 4,000 light years away. It's 3,900, I think I said. Okay, and you can still see the white dwarf in there. That white dwarf that you see there, visually, with your eyes, is only the size of the Earth. Yet from 3,900 light years away, we can actually see it. And that's pretty intense amount of energy.
Can we zoom in on more on that?
Yeah, I think so. I noticed that we're getting a little vertical shift here, so it may not be the best right now. This is at 100%, but let's do this. Let's just zoom in this way. We'll come over here and zoom in. All right, here we are.
I remember we looked at this one night before, and we got pretty close to it, and we're starting to see it now. It was surprising how much detail we could actually see.
Yeah. Let me see if we can. Let's see if we can help that even more by dropping or increasing our black level. It'll increase the effective contrast between the background and our object. Okay.
And you doubtless said earlier, but this object is in front of the star cluster. It's not part of it.
Right. This
It's a
star cluster
foreground
is
object.
2,000 light years past it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we have a little vertical walk on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over into my telescope computer here in a minute, and I'm going to fix that. All right, and before I do that, I'm going to actually set our view back to... Hey, Bobby Burgess. I saw you came in earlier. I didn't say hi, but I'm sorry. Fantasy's here. What's happened, brother? Yeah. And let's see. Okay.
Excuse me. Mark, excuse me
Sure.
just a moment, please.
Yeah, go ahead. All right. Let's see here. We'll just take a few more in here. Hope you guys are having a good time. I certainly am. I think we're having a good time. I am. All right, let's see here. I gotta just do a little housekeeping. Housekeeping! Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so again, we're looking at Messier 47 on the right and Messier 46 on the left with a planetary nebula there. And another little tiny cluster here. And there's a planetary nebula right in here. Again, a foreground object. So it's up here and the cluster is way back here. It's pretty interesting how that works. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this right here. And I'll save it. Okay, so we're going to save. We're going to wait for this next image to come in. Okay, and now we're going to save this. You see the green bar telling us we're saving it. And I'm going to save it just as you see it. All right. And then I'm going to clear it. And you're going to say, why are you doing that? Because what I want to do is something else. I want to correct or tune our guiding system a little bit. Every night's different. Again, when you have one of these remote systems, not everything works perfect 100% of the time, and you do need to tune it. Daryl's back. What's up?
Oh, not much.
All right, I'm gonna tune this right now. I'm gonna go in to the computer here, go to Starlock, head down, and go into a rate calculation and set a rate of correction that I think is going to be good. We have good internet speed tonight, by the way, so I'm really happy about that. And we're going to set the declination rate and set that. Okay, all set. So now our guiding is going to be better. And let's just do another quick shot of this, okay? And we'll do 15 seconds. And we'll stack it and see how our 15-second shot looks. We're going to clear this one.
If you get your tracking better, would it be worthwhile to center the planetary in the image in the field? And,
yeah, I was just trying to... It would. I was trying to get both of these again, but you're right. We probably could do that to show the planetary a little better.
Yeah.
There's color correction. You'll notice the center of the field is a little brighter than the outskirts. That's that's something that is endemic to telescope camera systems. A lot of the light is in the center of the. It goes in through the center of the lens. You get more you get more light into the center of a sensor than you do around the periphery. The sensors are square, not round. And I think that Uberku is just talking about that very thing. We actually do a what's called a flat field adjustment, and we actually get an image, which I might be able to show you what a flat field image looks like. Basically, you take a photograph while the telescope's looking at nothing, right? For the same amount of time that you're taking the images. So like for 15 seconds or whatever. And then you bring it in, and now you just have a black and white image that is shades of gray, with it being brighter in the center like this and darker on the edges. Then what you do is you take an image like this, and you subtract that image from it. You subtract the black and white image from it, and it leaves you with a flat field where all of the brightness across the image is correct. Yep. Okay, we've got we've stacked a number of them here. Yeah, we stack 9. That should be good to check the zoom here and see what we get. Yeah, that's better. Definitely better. They're not elongated. Oh, there we go. Look at that. That looks better. Okay, we're at like a 200% zoom now. Slightly out of phase here. A little bit of a problem. Let's actually darken up the background some more. Let's try that. Here we go. That's interesting, huh?
Yeah, I think we've seen more in the past, but
yeah,
it is showing tantalizing hints of detail there.
Yeah.
Like we see with other planetaries, like the Dumbbell and such, you can kind of see shells or areas out toward the margins of the nebula that are different colors, of course. You see that big orange patch on the upper left-hand side, like from about 9 to 12 or so. And there's a fainter one over at about 2 o'clock. There's a brighter small one down at about 5 and 6 o'clock. It's orange against the green. Yeah, you got that notch there at about 1 o'clock, the green notch. And a couple of lighter spots I see to the lower right of the white dwarf, maybe around 5 o'clock, yes. And
those might be faint stars beyond it.
Okay.
Maybe.
But like the orange and the green, the different colors, I've asked before, I mean, is that a sign of if different elements came off at different points in the evolution of the when the star was, in its red giant phase, it was puffing off its outer atmosphere. Is that a sign of different elements coming off at different times, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, maybe, okay, and there's another possibility here. If we consider that a white dwarf, okay, has a lot of radiation, okay, is it possible, perhaps, that the hydrogen atom, which is very, very small, it's a proton and a electron, right, a single of each. The oxygen atom, however, which is the greenish blue that we see, that's a heavier atom. So maybe what happens is the oxygen doesn't get pushed as much by the radiation and isn't as mobile as the hydrogen is. So maybe that's why the hydrogen is always in the outside fringe and less on the inside.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Except of course they're at about 1 o'clock when that green does make it all the way out to the outer edge, right there.
And that could just be, that could just be an incomplete view from the telescope here that we're not capturing. I mean, it's there every night we see it, so clearly there's something else going on there. But it doesn't have to be symmetrical either, because we've seen that, some of these planetary nebulae look like hourglasses, like the dumbbell.
Exactly.
And that's called a bipolar nebula. The bipolar topologies that we see, there's a number of them, and there's a number of reasons why they occur. Most of it tends to occur because the star was a rotator of some kind, a very fast rotator.
Yes.
And that could cause this shaping that we see. This star looks like it was a slow rotator. Don't ask me. I don't know if it is, but because of the homogeneous look to the spherical shells, which are not as homogeneous as you think. I mean, because we actually see that there's more red on this side, more hydrogen on this side that's glowing red than on this side. There's patches of it. So is it possible that this is actually being seen from an angle that makes it look that way, but it's actually more even if we could see it from a different perspective? It's possible that this is not a spherical shell at all. Maybe this is more elongated. So that's all possible stuff. But hey, I don't know. I just like it. I think it's a really, really nice little nebula. I like this exposure better than the previous. But I probably saved it to the wrong name, as I see now. So
what was the NGC? What was the NGC number on this object again? I'm going to look it up.
2489, I believe. Let's just. Well, I know how to tell you because I can just do this. NGC 2438.
2438.
Yeah, it's on screen. Oh, you can't see it. You're seeing the other screen. What's NGC 2438?
Okay, I'm looking this one up.
Right.
Interesting.
Do tell. Okay, we'll clear this. And it'll be up on the server.
This is just Wikipedia, but parallax measurements by the Gaia instrument put the central star at a distance of roughly 1,370 light years. Discovered by William Herschel in 1786. Appears to lie within the cluster M46, but is most likely unrelated since it does not share the cluster's radial velocity. Case is yet another example of a superposed pair during the famed case of NGC 2818. It is a multi-shell planetary nebula with a bright inner nebula. Diameter is 60 seconds, consisting of two somewhat detached shells. It is expanding, blah blah. Structure is surrounded by a fainter, mostly circular halo that is more visible on the western half, has a diameter of 130 seconds. Main nebula mass estimated at 0.45 solar, while the shell has 0.5 to 0.8 mass, solar mass.
Okay.
And there's more. There is an interesting image or two of it, and that the green part we saw out at the edge at about the 1 o'clock position,
yes.
That's real. Everything we were seeing basically was real. the orange or the red patches and the green parts.
Yep.
Looks like an eye. Looks like a big red eye. Not quite like Sauron's eye.
Okay.
I will post the image.
All right.
And in here, in this image, the green thing I noted as at 1 o'clock in your image is at about 8 o'clock. In
oh, it's upside down.
Yeah.
It was inverted. Okay.
So.
All right. Well, that'll be cool to check out.
But everything we were seeing was real. Okay, it's posted.
I don't see your link in the chat. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Well, just very briefly, this is what Daryl posted. Right there.
You know, there's that whole outer shell. That I don't think we're seeing at all. Yeah.
Yeah, we have not looked at this outer shell at all. We haven't seen this. We could see this ring. All right. But okay, that's important because that tells you this was taken at Mount Lemmon, which is a professional observatory here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that we're not, but it's a
much
higher, high focal length image.
Yes.
Very cool.
And the exposures are very long also.
Yeah, we're talking about, 15, 4 and 4 hours. It says 15 hours? Well, I'm not sure. Oh, maybe the luminance channel, right? Okay, luminance, okay, is 15. And then the RGB are 4 and 4 hours each.
Yeah, I think they shot the luminance at H alpha.
I imagine they did.
Which I guess is common nowadays. All right. So I think everything
we
were...
It was also a 32-inch telescope.
Right. But what we were seeing was real. It's right on the edge of, with your focal length and such. But hey, and we said this before, it was really interesting how much detail your scope is revealing since collimation.
Yes,
how much it.
Yeah. How much it's improved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. Okay, so what I think we'll do is maybe Daryl, you and I will do a private stream at some private session, and try a very long exposure in here to see if we can catch any of that red outer nebulous detail.
Okay.
That might be pretty cool. All right. For now, let's see. I think we're at 1 second again.
Thank you for indulging me.
Of course. Yeah, let's go back here. And I think why don't we try that? I don't even know if it's going to work, but let's see. We're going to try... we'll try this. It's going to take us right down pretty quickly. Yeah, a little too fast, but not bad. Okay, and then to the west a little bit. Okay.
Fantasy, if you mean Marc's telescope, there is no eyepiece. I guess you'd say it's at f2 prime focus.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Again, as Marc said in the past, the scope was originally an f8 10-inch aperture Schmidt Cassegrain, and with the hyperstar installed, it's presently a 10-inch f2 telescope. So it is a low power wide field view. But still,
Yeah.
I guess you'd still call it a prime focus view, right? I mean, the camera's
Yeah.
right where the cone of light's coming into focus.
Yeah. And the camera's actually in the front of the telescope.
Mm-hmm.
So, the camera isn't really the eyepiece. It's actually in the back of the scope where the eyepiece normally is. I have a counterweight sticking out of there. It's not even being used. The light goes down the tube, comes up, goes into a lens, and goes into the camera.
Yeah.
So it's really just one bounce to the main mirror instead of 3 bounces. Bounce off the primary, bounce off the secondary, bounce off a right angle mirror in the prism and into an eyepiece. This is actually just one bounce off the primary mirror. And actually, what I want to do is let's do something else. Let's go here. All right, and let's take a look. This is theoretically we're at something called the blue snowball, and I have no idea what that is, or blue snowman. No idea what it is, but with the moon out, we may not see it. But I'll just take a 25-second shot and see what's there. Don't know if we'll find it. It's probably associated with that star cluster, that little tiny star cluster. All right, and while we're doing that, or waiting for it to come in, I also want to show you something else, just because I don't think I have. I don't think I've shown you details. Okay, but anyway, let's wait for this first one to come in to see if it's going to be there. Yeah, with the moon, it's hard.
I see a faint reddish patch
right there.
Upper left center. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we'll let this cook for a few minutes. All right. First of all, let me see. We have this. Let's try to just do that and change the color to a normalized color. All right. Yeah, so we're looking at that reddish patch there. Okay. Cool. All right, we'll let that cook. I'm just going to now do something else. I'd like to show you a little bit more about what the telescope was supposed to do and what it actually looks like. That, I think, might be interesting. Okay. So while that's cooking, let's take a look at this. This is the telescope in the building. All right. This is without the dew cover, the cover in the front. So the light goes down the tube, hits the main mirror, which is down here in the back, comes up, focused, goes into this gigantic lens here, which weighs about 5 pounds, and then goes into the camera. So the camera is actually on the front of the telescope. Really kind of cool. Hey, Keith is here. PK, what's up? Keith, thank you for having me on the stream last night. That was fun. So, as you can see, this telescope now it's actually a pretty massive instrument right now. And there's our big steel pier that we're replacing with a lifting column, so we can lift this entire assembly up. The telescope will go from a height of about like this up to about there. So it's going to lift this entire section above the edge of the observatory, so we'll be able to see all the way down to the horizon, even though looking to the horizon is useless typically. But just to be able to see some of these really cool objects on this horizon, this far south into the desert, is kind of cool. But that's what Sky Tour is about. So that's what we're doing. So let's see what we got here. Also, by the way, on our server, you'll see that there's one directory that actually shows you the build progress and the location area, and it's pretty cool. You know, so that's really cool. Izabela, I saw your. Yeah, Keith has the Seagull Nebula on the P&K setup. He got rid of the moon. I don't know why they do the moon and the planets, but that's all right. Seagull's cool. If we try the Seagull tonight, it might not look that good, you know, but that's okay. All right, so this is cooking pretty good. But you know something? I see some dark nebula in here. See that, Daryl?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So this shows you a little bit more how the bright moon will cause this central brightening to occur. We need to correct that out. But you need to do that with any telescope, with any optical system in general. You don't end up getting away with the things. When the bright moon's out and the whole background is bright in general, to make it black, the brightest part remains behind. And that's what we get. You know, it's much less noticeable, for instance, when we actually balance it out, like doing this. Okay, it's less noticeable.
Can you go back to Stellarium for a moment?
Yeah.
Okay, you have Snowman Nebula.
Supposedly, that's the one we're looking at.
Okay, I thought
Be
you
so
said
much
blue.
better.
Blue Snowman or just Snowman?
I think it's the. Oh, it's the Snowman Nebula. I thought it was. I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought it. What was I looking at? It said blue.
H2 region. Maybe that's what we've been looking at.
Yeah. Well, that is, but I thought that there was a blue. I thought I saw blue something. Yeah, well, maybe not. I must have been looking at something else and then transposed the names in my head. I'm good at that. Sorry. Alright, let's see here. Okay, so if we go up here, that's Thor's helmet. Thor's helmet's gonna be interesting tonight. We should look at that. We'll go there, check it out. Let me just get rid of this here. First of all, this is the Snowman Nebula. Okay, never mind. We do it again. That's better. Okay. Alright. Pause it. Save it. Save it exactly as seen. Alright, and now we can clear it. Get out of the stack.
So the red thing was the snowman?
Yes, it was the Snowman Nebula. Alright, and then... But with the moon, it's not very impressive.
Yeah.
We would need to do longer exposure and, you know...
I
build it
just
up
wondered earlier, you know, if it was the blue snowman, I would think maybe it would have been a planetary nebula or something that was really blue.
Yeah. I would have thought... I don't know where that... I saw the word blue, and I don't know why. I don't know where that was. And it just got ingrained in my head. My apologies.
Oh, no need to apologize.
Yes, there is. Everyone's confused. Let's see if I can drop the blue here. No, it's not going to work.
Michael wants to try NGC 2467.
Okay.
Don't know what it is offhand.
That's easy to find. Okay, let's see where it is from here. Skull and Crossbones Nebula. Yeah, it's actually, it's 28.5 degrees from us in terms of elevation off the horizon, and we might be able to see it, but it's down. See where it is? And if you look where the telescope is, we might end up encroaching on the dome wall. But
Yeah.
we can try it. But you know, I like the Skull and Crossbones Nebula. I've actually imaged it before, so we could try it. Not a bad idea. So let's try it, shall we? We'll give it a shot, Michael.
That reminds me of something I saw earlier today. Some guy on Reddit posted his image of the Rosette Nebula he had taken.
Yeah.
He said it was called the Scull Nebula. And
really?
he said, well, you have to rotate the image like 90 degrees to see the skull. Plus, it was a Hubble palette image, and I could faintly see what he was talking about, where, you know, sort of like the two eye holes in the skull show up.
Okay.
I'd never heard that called the skull before, though.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone has called it the skull. Okay, let's see now.
And being in the Hubble palette, it looked quite different, too.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's get it down. Okay, that'll get us there. Okay. And now what we'll do is we're going to drop down and see how well we can view the Skull and Crossbones. We might be okay here. Usually the Skull and Crossbones requires a little bit more time to center up over the southern meridian. Well, let's head east a little bit. And let's see if we have any encroachment on the dome. Okay, so Skull and Crossbones should be coming into the view here as we move east. Okay, I'm thinking that it's here right now. I'm thinking it's right there. But I can't tell. Maybe that's part of it. I have to look and see. Well, we always do requests, so that's what we do. All right, let's go down and zoom in on this. All right, maybe. Well, we should be able to see it, I'm thinking. Okay. I think we want to move a little further down.
Is that it over at the far left-hand edge? You had some nebulosity. Before you moved a second ago, very
Yeah, we went
near,
too far.
uh, very near the upper left-hand edge, there was a little faint nebulosity showing.
Okay. I thought it was right in here.
Okay, well, go for it.
You see that? I mean, there's a star with a halo. Well, let's try it. Let's see what we got. I'm not sure. When you've got a moon this bright, it's kind of hard to make those determinations, but the telescope is pointing at it, so let's find out if this is correct. We'll say 20 seconds here. Off it goes. It should have found its guide star by now. We can go into the stack. And there we go. So our green progress bar over there gives us the progress on this exposure. Let's see if I was right. I don't know. Doesn't look at. Can't really tell. I gotta get rid of this. It's correct. All right. I don't think we have it right here.
Try jogging back up and then to the left.
Well, actually, as I'm looking here, I should be seeing my telescope indication, and it looks like it went way far out.
Huh.
And that interesting because it shouldn't have done that. So I'm sure we'll find it. I think we're looking at those stars too. Yeah, those two stars. Okay, we're gonna drop down, and we're gonna get rid of the stack and bring ourselves back down, and then we'll see the Scull and Crossbones, I'm sure. So here we go. And we'll do 1 second again. Okay. And give it a hyper view. Okay. Now we need to drop down, and I'll use this as a guide. Drop down.
So I see your...
Whoa, too far.
Whoop.
I went too far. We'll come back. You see what?
Well, I saw the yellow circle with your... There it is, there, to the lower right of the Crossbones. And now you're climbing back
here.
up. Yes, and you were up above.
I was way up. I was up above. So I'm going to just bring it back now. Let's get this to come back. All right. All right. Oops. Here we go. Yeah, we've imaged it before, Michael, and sometimes when the moon's out like this, it kind of makes it a little tricky. But that's all right. Let's move to the east a little bit now. We should be able to pick it up. It should come right in now. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is. And we'll drop down. Go north. Go west. Alright. Padoom. Okay. Little jog west and then go back to 16x. 16 times guiding. And now we can actually center it up nicely. Alright. Climb a little.
I think that's what I saw earlier. It was at the extreme. I'm sorry.
You think so?
Yeah, it was up near where it says guide on your telescope control.
Yeah.
It was up at the very top left corner, at
Okay.
guide or go to, and it was on the very edge of the field. I thought I saw it for a moment.
Okay. Maybe you did. I might have zinged by it. Let's just go in here. The focus appears reasonable. You might even be able to do a touch better than that, actually. Yeah, so we're gonna go here. What's our temperature? 55. Alright. So let's drop down. Okay, I can see. It suddenly got better.
Yeah.
Okay. That looks pretty good. So we're gonna turn back on that. 47,953. And we turn it back on. Alright. It'll change it as necessary. Okay. Let's pop out of this. This is going to be the Scull and Crossbones. Let's do that. So, Scull and Crossbones. Alright, that's Scull and Crossbones. And let's start an exposure. And we'll make this 25 seconds. There we go. Get out of it. Get our stack going. Clear it if necessary. Not necessary, that's good. Alright.
Pretty far down in the southeastern sky now, aren't you?
Yeah. It is. Yep.
It's interesting.
Okay, this is the Scull and Crossbones Nebula. Alright, so we'll come up in here. And let's... I mean, to have a moon that's on its way to nearly full and to be able to see nebulae like this is actually pretty good. Let's see about getting the color. That's a little better. There we go. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Hey, JSCO. What's going on? You're never too late. It's always on replays every time you want it. Lemon lime seltzer. Okay. This is pretty nice.
Bright little triangle of stars there just to the left of it. They're fainter nebulosity.
You mean there? These two?
No, I was thinking a little closer to that triangle. That, and then to the left and lower left of that. Fainter for what? That reddish patch around the star you pointed at, that, There's fainter nebulosity showing better there. Fainter patch there to the left of that. And then you got that bright
Yeah.
triangle or wedge shape of stars. There's actually quite a bit of faint nebulosity in there.
Yeah, there is.
All to the left of the bright part.
Yeah, the more we let this go, the better it's gonna get. So what I could do is, we still have quite a ways to go to bring the dark level even to the peak here. So there's still quite a ways to go. If I brought it right to the peak, what would that give us? That's probably the best, right there.
It's kind of nice.
Check that. Check that out. That's at 75% full size. Just so people understand, this image that we're looking at, okay, it represents only 75% of the image scale. What does that mean? This is 100% that I'm about to do now. Okay, boom. So that means that we have all this extra room above and below, right? How much? Well, if I have it fit to the screen, to this window, that's how much right there. That's how big the sensor really is. And these are all the stars we're picking up, okay? But if we actually zoom in to 100% of the sensor, then we're only going to be just one. We're going to be looking at a central part, and it actually supports zooming in pretty well. You know, it's not that bad for what we got here. You know, that's not bad. Actually, we zoomed too far because we're losing some of it. Let's go to 66% of sensor size. See, now we got more. Look at that. That's really pretty.
Mm-hmm. I don't see a skull and crossbones exactly.
Yeah, well, as Michael says, the dark nebula will come out. The only problem, Michael, is that when the moon is out, it's really hard to obtain dark nebula because of sky brightness. That's like trying to photograph a nebula during the daytime. Because the moonlight is also causing the same scattering process that causes blue sky during the day. It's just reflected sunlight doing the job and not direct sunlight on the molecules of the atmosphere. So there's a lot less of the blue sky at night, but you still have it. And so we're fighting that haze. So that's why we come in and work on doing things in here to try and enhance. Speaking of enhance, I'm going to actually add some enhancement right now. Watch the image. See how it got just a lot sharper? See? This enhancement is actually pretty nice.
Uberku, do you mean triangle is kind of at about 10 o'clock to the bright part of the nebula? Like a triangle or a V shape?
With these two stars?
No. Very close, just to the upper left of the bright part of the nebula.
This is the bright part of the nebula?
Uh-huh. And just to the upper left at about 10 o'clock.
Right here?
Right there, yeah. It's like two lines of stars making two sides of a triangle or a wedge or angle shape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it. That's pretty. Michael Klages, you know, when we do further analysis on these, you know, processing, we can bring out this dark nebula and literally see the filamentary structure very, very easily. But it's really, really, really interesting. And we also have this bar right here of nebulous detail as well, with some more over here. This is a region that's full of emission nebulae. And unfortunately, when we're looking at it with the moon, yes, we can detect lots of detail, but unfortunately, we are going to get that central brightening of the image that we don't normally get. Uruku says, left of the orange gas and above the word and. You mean the word and in Scull and Crossbones Nebula that I have titling at the bottom? Maybe you meant that before I zoomed out. You might see they're about 30 seconds behind us, maybe. But I have low latency on, so they should be just a few seconds behind me.
Can you go to Stellarium for a moment, please?
Yeah. You turn off the name. It's over here.
And can we back out some?
Yeah.
I'm just curious what part of the sky we're in.
All right. Well, we're in Southern Puppets right now.
Okay.
Okay, based on the constellation, I guess it's mid Puppets, not Southern Puppets. I guess technically. Well, we're actually below 30 degrees above the horizon, so to get an image as well as we can see it like this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, well,
not bad.
I see we're to the lower left Sirius.
Yes, we are.
10 degrees farther south and
yeah.
What, about 20 degrees east?
Yeah.
Okay, I know where we are.
All right. So there we are. And what we'll do is we have
a nice picture.
What's that? It is.
Say it's a nice picture.
Like this. Yeah, it looks nice. We stacked 21, so we're gonna pause it right now, and we'll save it. You'll watch the blue bar, the blue line with the green bar, and then we're going to save it exactly as seen, just like this. So if you want the pretty picture, you can just download the pretty picture. If you want to try your own processing, you can take the FITS file, the FITS file, and work on that. And at some point, I've taught classes on image processing for this, so I'm gonna try and do that more often, I think. Okay, let's do this. Let's go back to 1 second.
Thank you for the tip, Michael. That's a cool object. Might have to go back to that dark of the moon sometime and try it again.
Yeah.
See what kind of dark nebulosity you can pick up.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. That's why we have wonderful viewers, man. They know what looks cool, and some of them pass it on to us. It's not like they're just stuck watching without being able to interact. You guys are always able to interact with us. Now, no stream would be complete without trying to image some of the cool objects over here. You know?
You did save that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Izabela says...
Maybe Scull and Crossbones. What?
Alright. Oh, Izabela says no pretty pictures coming to the server. Slow internet.
Oh. Okay. Alright, well, here's what I'm going to do. Let me go into the stack here and see if I cleared it. If I cleared it... I mean, I did. I saved it and saved it as exactly as seen. So I already did that. So it's saved. It's on its way. Okay. Now that it's saved and we know it's there, I'm going to take us to something else. And that something else is going to be something we've seen before. But it's really cool. And what I do is we're going to go to maybe Barnard 33. Check it out with a nearly waxing gibbous moon, actually a waxing gibbous moon, and see what it looks like. All right. And away we go. you'll be able to watch the telescope over my head's going to make some pretty wild movements here. Here we go. Heading for a precision meeting with a bright star. This might be Bellatrix. Let's see. See if it says Bellatrix. Take bets. Oh, safe. Okay. You know what? That's the only other one that actually picked, so it's not an easy. It's a 50-50 shot. Okay, and we're 40% the size of the frame. Let's go to auto.
I think you've remarked before, whenever we go to the Orion area, it seems to like picking either safe or Bellatrix.
Yeah. And centered up right there, you can see this beautiful nebula here. A dark nebula, in fact. And then we have the Flame Nebula. This is the Horsehead Nebula right there. This is Sigma Orionis, which is a multi-component star system. There's a multi-star system in there, multiple star system with Sigma. Possibly, Daryl said the other night, up to 6 components, and I bet you that's possible, but that's only temporary. Because, you know, it's called an N-body problem, where you try to solve for the physics of such an advanced system. And usually one of those stars gets tossed out of the system, and it stabilizes potentially at 3, possibly 4 stars. So once it's at 6, it means it's very young, and the gravitational interactions haven't had a chance to whip any of them out yet.
Yeah,
So
I
don't
think
know how old Sigma.
I think at least 2 of the pairs are spectroscopic binaries, so they're very close. We can't split them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're young. It's a young star system.
Yeah. Ufi's here. Ufi Autori. Hi, how are you? Great to see you.
It's really pretty in the eyepiece, though. I know that.
Yeah. Well, we're actually working on getting a higher focal length telescope in that building. Believe it or not. So we'll keep it going. Then we'll be able to use both at once. I can't wait to have 2 scopes in there aiming at the same thing at the same time, and you see one with a magnified view and then one wide angle. Izabela, the first N body. N is in November. N body. That just means N number of objects that you're trying to solve for the gravitational interactions. N-body problems are a bane of existence, and trying to solve them can be real difficult. I've had to work on a few, and I don't like them. But it's okay. Okay, 24 seconds. Horsehead and Flame. And here we go. Let's go into the stack and await our results. Let's clear this. As slow as the internet is, it's actually pretty fast tonight out there. So I'm not complaining. We haven't had any corruption to the graphic image on the screen. Okay, and ready? Boom. Oh, yeah.
That's red.
Now what we do is, I know, too red. That's because it's over processed. This is more like what it would be, and we just have to walk that black level back a little bit. Okay, as we walk the black level back, then you'll see it better, and I'll do a color correction as well. That's more like it. There you go.
Even the flame is red.
Yeah, it's just the moonlight makes that happen, you know. Because we have to stretch to capture the detail with some dark contrast, and when you do that, it saturates a lot of the colors, and that's what we're seeing.
Excuse me a moment, please.
Yeah.
Be right back.
So this is beautiful. Yes, exactly. You got it. You have your initial conditions, your givens, right? And with the givens are certain mass, certain motion. Okay, there's going to be mass, and there's going to be a certain motion, an initial motion of the body, and then you have another one, and another one, and another one, and then you can actually run simulations to show them where they orbit each other. Now, you could get something called universe. Universe. Oh my gosh, blank. Universe Sandbox. Okay, and Universe Sandbox will allow you to do these simulations and watch dynamically. It's one thing to watch them and see them happen on the screen. It's another to get the data. And the latest version of Universe Sandbox will allow you to get the data and see the data, and that's what's cool. So you can run simulations, but you know what? It's like order of magnitude accuracy. It's really not accurate, and if you try to run the simulation faster, it goes out of spec and it actually gets very inaccurate. So you literally have to run it slow and let it run slowly, and it would be a lot of tensor work. Well, yeah, you can get very tense doing it, that's for sure. So yeah, Jessica S says seahorse. In a sense, right? That face on this thing looks just like a seahorse, doesn't it? And let's zoom into 75% now. We've got a number of these stacked right now. That looks really nice tonight. I always gauge the quality by how well this nebula looks. That's not bad, Let's guiding is good. Let's cut our black level in a little bit more and try to get a little more contrast out of that background. Not too much. We could easily go too far. Welcome back, Daryl.
Thank you.
Oh, this looks nice. Look at this. Look at this nebula up here. See, sometimes the moon is a blessing because it forces us to rethink how we're going to do an exposure, and it allows us to capture things sometimes in a spectacular way. I mean, I love that, the way that looks. I can see a little drift in the guiding, so I know that we might have wind out there, but we're okay. Then if we go up, we'll see that here's the Flame Nebula. Now, the halos around the stars, that's an artifact of the system. But here's the flame. And the way that's working is this black area, this right here, this and this black area right here are probably all on the same level, perhaps. And what happens is that black area is up here and the bright nebula is back here. So this black area is in front of it, blocking it. And that's what it looks like. That's how that works, okay? So it's not a void between dark nebula or between nebulae. It's actually a bright nebula that has black dust over it, obscuring dust that's over it that doesn't allow you to see inside. And this is all part of a vast molecular cloud. The Orion Molecular Cloud Complex is here. It's part of the Orion Nebula. And the Horsehead Nebula is part of it as well. And if you notice, you can see some really nice detail in here.
Yeah, I get a kick out of that part.
Me too. This is always my little gauge to tell me how good the night is, because if I can see nice detail in here, then I know that we're succeeding.
Yeah, I mean that looks. I've said before, it's sort of a 3D view down into that cloud, where I assume the bright white star is what's illuminating it, and you got a couple of dark filaments down in there, several, and it just kind of you know, it looks like an old Doré illustration or something, like almost biblical, you know.
Hmm.
Seeing
Very
down
nice.
into it.
Yeah, I remember like there was a photo of Jupiter, the red spot, and the image that was taken, you actually had that three-dimensional feel, like you were looking down into spiraling clouds that were dropping deeper and deeper, and it was really cool looking.
Mm.
And like that, we have that here. It looks like we're looking into a wall of black here, wall of dark dust, and this star is inside, and its radiation pressure is clearing the way, which is what they do. The star's pressure, stellar winds push dust away, clearing what we call a cavity around those stars. The Rosette Nebula, the center of the Rosette, it's a cavity created by that young cluster.
Yeah.
This cavity is created by this one star. And if you look, you see a stalk here. This stalk might be created by the star, because the star could be pushing away dust, but at the end of that stalk might be a denser area, which we see often. And those denser areas can withstand the stellar wind pressure and thus protect what's behind them. So that could be what we're seeing here.
I see
I mean,
red.
it doesn't.
Oh,
Right.
excuse me.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Gesundheit I need now. Oh, thank you, Vera.
Just below the tip
Red
of that
star?
dark stalk.
Right here.
Not that red. That one right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's just below the tip of that dark stalk.
Well,
And
let's zoom in.
We've often said, I mean, I have to assume that stalk is a lot like one of the pillars of creation. Similar process
agree.
going on.
Right. Or we're at 150% now. So you can see a little bit more. It looks like that star you thought you saw was actually a little bit of a ionized hydrogen here. You see, it's actually a cloud. See it? See that, Daryl?
Say that again. Sorry, I was
said-
trying to type something.
Yeah. That isn't a star there. That's actually an H2 cloud right there.
Okay,
little
yes,
cloud.
I see that now.
This is the star I thought you were talking about. That was a cloud. So it's possible that this star is hot enough to ionize hydrogen in the area, but it blew away a lot of the hydrogen and is ionizing some of it, as you can see. This cloud here, this is all a cloud mixed with hydrogen. So it's very possible that, and it's definite that we're seeing a mixture of ionized hydrogen and reflection nebula. This blue color here is the scattered light from this star, scattered by the dust particles in this dust nebula. Okay, scattered the same way that a volcanic sunset is made to look red. Okay, and so stars, for instance, like inside the nebula here, they look red because their light is reddened and they're deep inside. Okay, the blue is blue for the same reason the sky is blue, because these dust particles love to scatter blue light, and so all the colors of the spectrum get to this dust, but the blue light in particular is absorbed and re-emitted in all directions, and that's called Rayleigh scattering, a process we're seeing at play in the universe all over the place, and a process that's in our sky, making our sky blue. So blue light is high frequency, very short wavelengths, high energy. So those little dust particles are somewhat sympathetic to that blue light. That's pretty. Look at that.
It is. That's so three-dimensional. It is like you're looking down
so
into
nice.
a tunnel or something.
Yeah, I have one more thing I can do here in the enhancement. There's another little feature I can add. I'm going to add what's called a bilateral filter. So watch the screen now. Okay. It's meant to dim the noise a little bit. And we can set it up really high, and I'm not sure if that's going to help or hurt, but you see what I did? It actually tries to get rid of some of the noise, but it does so at the expense of the clarity, so we don't want to use it too much. I usually don't use it, as a matter of fact, but I tried to just wanted to see what it would do, to see if it could help us figure out a little bit more about what this object here looks like. But I turned it off. We could go a little bit higher on our unsharp mask. So we'll go to 166. And that actually adds some detail in here. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Let's see what the horsehead looks like under this scrutiny. Wow. We'll get out there. Now look at that. That's nice. You can actually see the horsehead, how it kind of integrates into the molecular cloud here.
Yeah.
As we go up, the other thing is you can see there's more artifacts like the horsehead, but smaller. Okay, there's one. Okay. There's one. There's another one. Right there. This is just astounding me right here. This is just so pretty.
Yes, it is.
I'm really, really happy with how that's coming out. And this dust, by the way, is brownish, just like we're seeing here. You notice it doesn't look red, it looks brown. The more exposure we have, the more time we have doing this, the more color information will come through. And this is now coming through. The star's illuminating this dust cloud. The dust is scattering the blue light of the star, but then other parts of the cloud are just being lit up by the starlight. And this is an example right here. This is lit up, and it looks brown because it's like soot. It's carbon molecules. It's silicate, molecules. Silicon atoms form the core of the dark dust a lot of times, and then they're covered with ice of various kinds, from methanol to carbon monoxide to formaldehyde to water ice to carbon dioxide ice, and then it's melted off by some of the hot stars and joins the slurry of materials with which stars and planets will be made. It's just incredible.
Can we go to Stellarium for a second, please?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Let's go back over to okay.
Okay, I was the view down into the cloud. That's NGC 2023.
Let's see.
It's just above the horsehead there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
very
like
good.
it. Yeah, look that up and you probably get some really pretty shots of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Marcus Stellarium, they're a location for the tadpoles. Oh yes, I imaged the tadpoles one other night. It's a beautiful area of blue reflection and nebulosity, and you're right, it's near the Flaming Star Nebula. It's really pretty. They're up there. They're actually up on the server. So they might be there by their NGC name. So I'm not sure. You might have to look, but I'm not sure we'll get to that tonight. I know that Capella's up there pretty high right now. This is just astonishing. Look at that, Daryl. That's astonishing. It's just so incredible.
Yes. Boy, did I find a picture.
I bet you did.
Do you mind if I post it?
No, no, I'm gonna bring it up anyway and stick it up, show people.
Very good. Okay.
All right.
Uh,
Really, really pretty.
click on this, and then click on the image again to enlarge it. And you'll probably have to zoom in toward the lower left-hand side. What you'll see, this is the Horsehead with 2023 just to its lower left. And yeah.
All right. Okay, this is. Let me just jump out for a minute. There's the Horsehead, and there's what we just. That's what we're imaging right now. Right there.
Isn't that amazing?
Look at that. That's beautiful.
And what I called one star there, just below the tip of that stalk to the right here, is actually 3 stars. And there's that tiny little dark T shape to it.
Right there.
Yep. And
that is really cool.
Light lines showing in it, and see, this is like that. I'm sorry.
It's a Hubble shot. Or is it an ESO shot? This might just be an ESO shot. That's something.
It doesn't say.
Okay.
Looking, bear with me.
Look, I see the head of an old sea captain right here. Look, eyes, nose, mouth, chin with beard, hair. Actually, might be wearing goggles too.
Ahab.
My golly, Daryl, that looks like you.
No, it doesn't.
I think that. Look, and there it's look. He's wearing a jacket, and it's open here. It's a V-neck. I mean, this is as plain as day, isn't it? That's really cool. I like that. I don't suppose we'd see that when I came back here. I think we would need a little bit more focal length to see that here. Let's see what we can see though.
Okay, here I'm going to post another image. This is from the VLT.
Okay, the Very Large Telescope.
From the FORS at VLT.
Okay.
This is zooming in precisely on NGC 2023.
Okay. Okay, let's go check it out. I'll zoom in on it. Let's do the left screen display. Oh yeah, look at that.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is really pretty. There's our stalk. There's the hydrogen cloud we're seeing.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing those smaller stars in there, I don't think.
Oh, there's 4 of them there now.
Yeah. That's really pretty.
Again, that's like, who's the guy I'm thinking of? He was a 19th century illustrator. He did lots of religious stuff, Bible illustrations and things like that. People marching up into the clouds, going to heaven and thing. The picture reminds me of that.
Yeah, it does look almost heavenly in that regard. Well, for a telescope that's a wide field system, we are managing to be able to pull out a significant amount of detail.
Yes, you are.
That's not bad.
I think that's tremendous. Looks like you had a satellite go through.
Yeah, unfortunately. Fantasy says Michelangelo. Is that who you're thinking of?
No, this guy was 19th century, 1800s.
Okay.
I want to say Dore, Dore. Uh, I used to have him in my
Okay.
favorites, and I think that was one or two computers back.
Okay.
He did a lot of book
Here.
illustrations in the 1800s.
All right, we're pausing this. We're gonna save the stack just there so you see it, and now I'm gonna save it exactly as seen. So if you go, you'll catch this object. You can zoom in on it and see it just like you see it here. That's
Thank you for
stunning.
that. That's really something.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to let it go. But on a night
Thank
like
you,
tonight,
Gustave Doré. Thank you, Izabela. That's him.
so you were right. It was Duray.
Gustave Doré. Gustave.
Okay.
Thank you, Izabela. At least I haven't lost my mind completely yet.
That's a matter of opinion.
Well,
I think we've all lost our minds to some extent over the past couple of years with all this garbage. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go south a little bit. But we're going to increase our speed a little. I'm not even going to tell the telescope to go there because I can just steer the telescope there easily enough. Head west. And, of course...
Izabela, there is a site somewhere on the internet, on the web. It's like shows his collected works, and it was really cool to look at. Like you said, the Bible, Dante's Inferno, or Divine Comedy, whatever, and really neat work.
Very cool. All right, we're gonna try a crazy thing here with the waxing gibbous moon. We're gonna try a 35-second shot here to see if we can capture the dust in the outer fringes. I want to push the system to see if we can actually do that, especially with the moon. With bright moonlight, it's unheard of. There's a trapezium right there. Let's actually zoom in on that very quickly. Make sure we're looking good here. Oh yeah, all 4 stars of the trapezium. There we go. Okay. And now we're gonna live stack. And it'll be coming out right now. Wow. Okay, so now let's go in and fix it. Let's go say correct. Yeah, and correct again for the color. All right, and if you notice, lots of dust. Lots of dust here. Wow. Even with the moon, this looks pretty nice. Let's try something else. I'm gonna try pushing this. It's called pushing when you bring the levels close like this. And that's gonna pull out more detail. Doesn't look it yet, but then I'm gonna add some contrast into the background again here. Like that. A little more. There we go. Now you see that? Now we can see a lot of this dust here. There's a cloud out here that becomes clearer the more you take pictures of it. I mean, we've only got a few frames stacked here. Three, not many. So you can see the Running Man Nebula up here, which is NGC 1975. Do I not know this? Yeah, NGC 1975. Okay. All right. So this is cool. I mean, this is a very bright nebula, and it's one of the very few naked eye nebulas that you can see. And look at the cloud of dust that connects these two nebulae. As a kid growing up, I never saw these, so I didn't know it was there. Izabela says, I tried to process the low-gain photo of the Orion Nebula today, but it did not work for me. What didn't work? Let's see where we're at here for our gain. Are we still like 260? No, we're at 250. We're actually 100 less than we normally run. The gain is the sensitivity. The higher the sensitivity, the more noise, the more grain you see. And we're running lower than that because we seem to get better results. With the moon out, it's best to do that anyway. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, Michael, Orion is hard to process because you want to get this outer fringe, I'm assuming you're thinking, and also show the core with the trapezium. So you have to do a blended image where you actually blend the inner core, which is a green mottled central section that has the 4 trapezium stars, with the outer areas with all the dust. Your eye sees things differently than the camera. So you could see the trapezium and the dust at once with your eye, but you can't with the camera. It's odd how that doesn't really work out so well. You know. Oh yeah.
What's the term for that? I keep trying to think of that. Dynamic range?
Yeah, the dynamic range of your eye is very different from the dynamic range of a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot more with your eye than the camera can sometimes.
Yes.
Well, this is beautiful. Okay. I have a pretty full day tomorrow, so I dare say this has to be the last object, guys. But we'll be back. I want to thank you guys for coming out here. This is the Orion Nebula once more, Unto the Breach, with this beautiful region. This is 10 shots stacked right now. We'll do a couple more. But let's zoom in, shall we, on this upper region. This here, I think, is the most beautiful area when we're shooting for the dust. And I'll show you why. Let's go to 100%. Okay. As we move up, okay, you take a look here. And this looks like one of those paintings you're talking about, Daryl. You know?
Yes.
With the cloudiness and everything, and I can actually get that to look even better actually if we just we'll go to 66. and we'll add more darkness in. Add a little more dark. Okay. There we go. As you can see, the dust is showing in its true color, which is this brownish type color. And then it looks like this puffy clouds right here. These are actually just large billowing clouds of dust. Now you might say, man, if we were like to drive through that with a car, it'd like get all this dust all over the windshield. The truth is, if you drove through there with a car, it's possible that you might hit only a few atoms. But in general, in an area like this, unlike, say, the center of a condensing cloud, you might only have 300 atoms per cubic centimeter. Okay, 300. Yet, in a cubic centimeter of air, you've got roughly 10 to the 27th atoms. That's a lot of atoms, comparatively, you know. But as the clouds out there get denser, the density really increases to extremely high densities, way higher than air once you get into stars and things like that. That's beautiful. Wow. Almost looks surreal, Daryl.
Yeah. One of the neatest things I ever saw, not to keep going back to Gustave Doré, but always makes me think of when I see these cloudscapes like this. August 1st, 1976 was Colorado's Centennial Day. Its 100th anniversary, and Colorado's called the Centennial State because it was granted statehood 100 years after Declaration of Independence, August 1st anyway. And in honor of Centennial Day, people all over the state climbed all the 14er mountains in Colorado. There are 54 or 58, depending who you talk to, mountains in Colorado that are over 14,000 feet in elevation. And my brother-in-law and another guy, we climbed one in Summit County called Quandary Peak. It's 14,265, I think, feet tall, high. And it started out a beautiful morning, as it generally is in summer in the morning. Not a cloud in the sky, and we got above timberline, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky, but the sun started heating things up, and clouds started forming below us on either side of the ridge. And as they got hot, the clouds rose, rolling up either side of the mountain as they gained elevation, until right when we got to the top of the peak, or shortly after we got to the top, the clouds rose above us, okay, and we were buried inside the clouds. And we hung around a while, and then we figured it was time to get off the mountaintop, so we headed back down the ridge, and we broke through the clouds, the bottom of the cloud deck, right down about timberline, and we turned around and looked back up. And by that time, it was maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. And there was a solid line of people standing on their way climbing up the mountain toward the top to celebrate Centennial Day. And these people were just disappearing into the cloud. And that just struck me because it looked so much like something that Doré would have done. You know,
That's cool.
It was biblical. Seeing this line of people marching up and vanishing in the clouds, it was really something.
And you don't have even a picture to show for it, huh?
I have one or two pictures of that day, one at least, but it's just me standing on top of the mountain. Don't have any pictures of people disappearing in the clouds.
Yeah, sometimes those moments, they're fleeting. You go, oh, look at that. You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was so
This
cool.
is beautiful.
It is.
Then we come up to the Running Man. Running Man is a reflection nebula, so thus the blue, and it is also an emission nebula, hence the magenta. That's actually red, but because it's also mixed with the blue, the red light and the blue light kind of mix to make magenta. That's something else. And this cloud right here, that brown, okay, again, that's up here, and the blue reflection nebula is back here behind it. And
Yes.
this is occluding it and blocking it, and that's why you see it this way. Here's a little piece of it sticking out right here. That's the blue that's behind this little tongue of brown dust. James Webb is going to be looking in this dark dust in places to see what's going on in there. Some of it is too dense for us to see in, but the James Webb can see what's going on in there because it sees farther out into the infrared than anything we've ever had. And it's a 21-foot mirror compared to Hubble's 8-foot mirror. And it sees farther into the infrared by many, many micrometers beyond what the Hubble can do. It goes out to 24,500 micrometers, I believe. Or micrometers, depending on how you spell it or pronounce it. I think Hubble goes out to 5 micrometers, I'm not sure.
How big was the mirror on the Spitzer? 32 inches?
2.8. 2.8 feet, yeah.
Yeah. And so we're going to go from 2.8 feet to 21 feet with the Webb. That ought to be a tremendous shift.
It's 100 times better than Hubble.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, yeah, and the amount that we're going to be able to see with the James Webb, it just goes up exponentially. So it's really going to be fascinating. I saw all 18 images. They took picture from all 18 mirror segments, and it showed that all of those mirror segment images went through the processors inside the James Webb and successfully came out to make 18 separate images. Now those mirrors now have to be actuated and moved so that all 18 of those images are one, because that was one star they shot. And you saw 18 images from the 18 mirrors, you know, but they're going to align them so that all of those images on the mirrors will focus at the one spot to produce a singular image of a star. And I think it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dave Schmidt, man, thanks for coming. Thank you very much.
Knocking on wood.
Yeah. I don't think we have to knock on wood for much longer. I think it's going to be very successful. And I think that in 10 years we'll figure out how to refuel it as well. They've already got systems to try this. This is beautiful. Holy cow, look at this.
Yeah.
Just stunning. Really stunning. I just don't know what to say. I'm at a loss for words sometimes. 26 images. We'll pause here. And I will now save it. So now we will do the FITS file as you see, and then we're going to save exactly as you see it here, with every bit of the detail. And that's the ping file that you'll see listed across the top here. I didn't see it. I think it was right in the middle of the exposure, so I'll just save it exactly as seen. There we go. So yeah, there it is. A beautiful, beautiful night with some great friends. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you for having me, Mark.
Of course. JSEO, thank you for the compliments.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Well, guys, we'll be here. We'll probably wait another few days to get past the full moon. But you never know. I get itchy, you know, and I just have to do it. We're not doing the Sky Tour radio tomorrow because of the Super Bowl, and so I don't watch the Super Bowl, but you know, other people do, especially some of the people that want to be here. So we won't do Sky Tour radio, our radio show tomorrow, for the same reason, and Sky Tour live stream probably not. I might do a private one just to try and do a longer exposure of certain things I want to look at with moonlight, because the moonlight, it's a good test to see how the system operates with moonlight. But this ain't bad for a very, very brightly lit moonlight night, I'll tell you. Not bad.
Yeah. Well,
right.
We've proven before that this thing does well even with moonlight. Okay,
it's the filters we use.
Yeah.
All right, Daryl. Well, thanks, man.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. And everybody take care. Thanks for coming and have a good night.
All right, man.
And I'm going to go to bed pretty soon.
All right, Daryl. Well, thanks for coming out here, and we'll see you next time.
Okie dokie. Good night, everybody.
Okay, good night, Daryl.
Good night.
Okay. Now I'm going to just shut everything down. Yeah. There's that trapezium. That's the thing Michael Klages was talking about. It's hard to do this nebula because you got all that data in there, and then you have all this data, okay, out here. And when you show this data out there, you overexpose the data in there. So trying to get a balance between this right here, okay, and the rest of this data here is kind of tough. So, yeah. All right, well, I am going to disconnect the items here. We're going to disconnect our focusing system and hang up the focuser for the night. We're going to stop our planetarium and then exit that. There's a certain way out for all these things that I have to do that I choose to do because it makes it easier. And then, of course, our planetarium software we'll get rid of. And then we are now in the position to park the telescope. So this will bring it to its resting place for the evening. So you'll watch the telescope zoom over my head here and come down to an area that's pointing more or less toward us. And it says parking scope slewing. It's now getting to its resting spot, and when it gets there, the scope is now off. And these are stars that you're still seeing, but you notice how they're moving? You're literally watching the rotation of the Earth right before your eyes. Okay? The telescope is now still. It's not following the stars anymore. It's just looking out, though, into space. It's a little bit below the level of the building. Okay? But you can see the stars moving anyway. You know? I always thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so we'll disconnect the scope now. Not that it matters, because it's not following anything anyway. Alright, and this will all go dark. All the lights go off. And I can exit that. And get out of this program to control the scope. And now we can get out of this system. So we'll disconnect the camera and close that up. And now the last thing we can do is shut the roof. Alright, and so to shut the roof is actually very straightforward. I wrote a little program to do all these things here. I have to turn off the pier first. Let's do that. Okay, now the telescope is off. And now I can shut the roof. And there we go. Bye. Good night. I always think it's cool. I mean, that's happening 2,500 miles away. I don't know. It's just so cool. Alright. Alright, guys. Well, you guys have a good night. And we'll be back on the next clear night. Alright? So we'll see you later. Good night.